Hello everyone, you are watching Total Tutors. Myself Mangesh Phadke and I am going to teach you physics for standard 10. So let's start with the first chapter of our textbook, Gravitation. As we all know, gravitation has been found by Sir Isaac Newton. He performed various experiments and he declared a new law, that is the law of gravitation. However, before him in India, the famous mathematician and astrologer Aryabhatta first proposed the concept that the earth revolves around sun in specific orbits, and due to the force of the sun the earth moves in the specific orbit. For example, this is the sun which is in the center of all the planets. Each planet revolves around it in a specific circle. This circle is known as orbit. This is a planet Earth. So there is a certain force which keeps this Earth in the same orbit. It will never cross its orbit and go in any other orbit. This is because of the gravitational force of the Sun. So gravitational force was defined by Sir Isaac Newton as a power which pulls object towards itself. Circular motion. Our next concept is circular motion. So for example, we take a stone, we tie a thread to it and we move it round and round. So we see that, for example, this is the thread which we have taken. Here is the stone. If we move it round and round, we see that it performs a certain motion in a circular path. This motion is called as circular motion. Now, if it is kept constant, means after equal time you keep it moving, it will be called as uniform circular motion. And if it doesn't move in equal time, it is called as non-uniform circular motion. Now, if we see this from this angle, from the above angle, we see that this is the circle and the stone is exactly in the center of the circle. So this becomes the radius r of the circle. Now you are moving it round and round and you leave the stone suddenly. What will happen? The stone will move in the outward direction. Correct? So this force due to which the stone moves in the outward direction is called a centrifugal force. However, when you move the stone using the thread, you apply certain amount of force on the thread as well, due to which the stone moves. And this force is directed inwards. This inward directed force is called as centripetal force. I repeat, when you are performing a circular motion and the force is directed inward, it is called as centripetal force. However, then you are performing circular motion and the force is directing outward, it is called as centrifugal force. Kepler's law. This is one of the most repeated questions of this text. Now, Johannes Kepler was a scientist who studied the theories of Aryabhatta. We saw that Aryabhatta proposed some theories. He studied it, and during the time of Kepler, there were various instruments like telescope, due to which the study was more easier. So, using those all the instrument and available resources, he proposed three important laws which are universally accepted. So those three laws are known as Kepler's law. Now, the first Kepler law is the very basic thing which we studied in the beginning. The sun is in the center of the universe and all the planets revolve around it in elliptical orbits. Now, elliptical orbits is what? Orbits which are not circular. Here, I have drawn a picture on a board. You can see that this is a circle-like object. But if we see about elliptical orbits, it goes like this. It is actually in the shape of egg. So these kinds of orbit are called as elliptical orbits. So the first Kepler's law states what? The sun is in the center of the universe, in the center of the solar system, and all the planets revolve around the sun in their specific elliptical orbits. This is the Kepler's first law. Second law. First, let us see the statement. According to the Kepler's second law, the line joining the planet and the sun sweeps equal area in equal interval of time. Now this is a bit confusing. Let us see with the help of a diagram. For example, this is our sun. It is in the center. It is the focus. So here is an elliptical orbit in the shape of an egg. So first, the planet rotates around the sun, we saw. So first the planet is here. Then after some time the planet will be here, after some days, and after some days the planet will be here. So if we draw vectors, here you can see I have drawn some vectors for it. To understand it more clearly, rub this. So we have drawn some vectors from sun to the planet. For example, I'll name this point A, this point B, this point C, this point D, this point E, this point F. And the sun, I'll name it as point S. So for example, if we calculate the area of vector ASB, calculate the area of vector DSC, and calculate the area of vector ESF, it is found that all the three are equal. So if a planet moves around the sun in its specific orbit, at whatever place it may be in the same orbit, it will take equal time interval to cover that distance. Here you can see the distance is geometrically less, while here the distance is geometrically more. However, the time taken to cover the area will be same. Because why? Because it is in the elliptical orbit. And if you draw a vector like this to join the center, sun, and the planet at a certain point, it will have an equal distance. So this is Kepler's second law. So what does Kepler's second law state? The line joining the planet and the sun sweeps equal area in equal interval of time. Kepler's third law. Now let us see the statement. The statement says the square of the time period taken by the planet to revolve around the sun is directly proportional to the cube of the distance between the planet and the sun. Now let us see what it is. Here we have our sun, point S. Here is its elliptical orbit. Now this is the planet. The planet will rotate on its axis and revolve around the sun in a particular time period. For example, if this planet is Earth, the Earth takes 365.4 days to complete one complete revolution around sun. They called it a year. So the time, for example, 364.4 days. Correct? Earth takes. So the square of this is directly proportional to the distance between the sun and Earth. See, there is a particular distance between the orbit. Although this orbit is elliptical, there will be equal amount of distance everywhere. For example, if the Earth is here, it is the first day, 1st January. After one rotation, it will come here, 2nd January. After one rotation, it will come here, 3rd January. It will change its place constantly till it complete one rotation and again come to this position, day 365th day, that is 31st December. So the total time which it took, for example, here we have considered in terms of days, 364.4, which is approximately 365 days. The square of this is directly proportional to the distance between the planet and the sun. It may be differing, but you will get the same constant answer, due to which, for example, for time period I have taken t. So writing it mathematically, time period is t and the distance I have taken as r. So they are proportional. But how? When the square of time period will be equal to cube of the distance. Now, as I have said, this will be constant everywhere. Whether the distance will be more or the distance will be less, you will still get the same answer. For example, I have taken the answer A. Whether you take the Earth from here, whether you take maximum distance or whether you take the minimum distance, you will get the answer A. So being constant, instead of this proportionality sign, we'll put a constant K, proportionality constant, and R cube. So if you want to find the value of constant, K will be equal to T square upon R cube. This is the equation of Kepler's third law. So what is the Kepler's third law? The square of time period taken by the planet to revolve around the sun is directly proportional to the distance between the planet and the earth. But what? Cube of the distance. Cube of the distance between the planet and the earth. These are the Kepler's three laws.